Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here, and I'm super excited to be here as a part of the first birthday celebration blog hop for Clearly Besotted Stamps. I just discovered this stamp company a few months ago and I loved all of the great designs, so I'm honored that they asked me to be a part of this birthday celebration. For my card today, I'm going to be using some new products that are just coming out, the Tasty Treat stamp set, as well as the dies that coordinate with the stamps. So I just went ahead and already cut a little cupcake out of Nina Solar White cardstock. And now I'm going to go ahead and just ink up the bottom portion of the cupcake, so what would be the cupcake liner. I'm just using Cup of Joe Hero Art Shadow Ink to give a nice darker brown color. And then there's also a stamp that you can use to stamp the top area of the cupcake there. But I'm going to be doing something a little bit different for this card. So I have I'm just going to use a craft mat here, and what I'm going to be doing is using Wendy Vecchi embossing paste. This is actually my first attempt at using embossing paste, and I've decided I really like it. And I have this really high-tech tool here, this great little red plastic spoon. So sorry for that, I just didn't have a little spatula or anything on hand, and this did the job. So you know what, I guess it's sometimes a little spoon will work perfectly. So I just went ahead and put some of the embossing paste on the back of the spoon there, and I just kind of blobbed it right on the top of that cupcake. And I'm just going to use that spoon to move that icing / embossing paste all over the top area of that cupcake until I get the coverage that I want and the thickness. And then once I have enough paste on there and I'm happy with the amount, I'm just going to use that spoon and just kind of push it around and get it where I like kind of how it's lifting up off of the cupcake there to mimic real icing like you would see on an actual cupcake. And then I'm just going to put the excess back into the jar. And now while that's drying, because that is going to take a little bit of time to dry, I'm going to work on some other areas of the card. So now I've just got one of the tiny little strawberry stamps that comes in the stamp set, and I'm using VersaFine Crimson Red ink, and I'm just going ahead and stamping that until I get a nice impression. So I really liked the second one the best there. And I'm using this Memento Green marker to go ahead and color over the top area of the strawberry, which I just stamped completely in red. This green covers perfectly, so you don't really have to worry about masking that area off to do the stem and the little leaves, which is kind of nice just because it's a smaller stamp and it's kind of hard to mask. So you can just go ahead and completely just color right over top of that, and it'll perfectly cover over that red area and give a great little stem and leaf that you can see there. Then once I have that done, I'm just going to take my scissors and cut that out and fully cut around the strawberry. I didn't leave any kind of a border or anything. I wanted it to be completely cut out right to the ink line. And then once I have it completely cut out, I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of glitter to that strawberry. So I'm just going to take my clear Wink of Stella glitter marker and color over top of that whole area. I was originally just going to do the strawberry part, so I was kind of being careful there. And then I changed my mind and decided to cover the entire thing, including the stem and the leaves. And then once I had that done and let it dry for a little bit, I'm taking that now, and my cupcake area at the top with the embossing paste is still pretty wet, so it's going to still have a lot of movement. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking that strawberry with my tweezers there, and I'm placing that directly into the top of that cupcake area and kind of smushing it around and getting it to a point where I like it, and just kind of fiddling with it just because I'm OCD like that and everything has to be perfect. And then once I have it kind of where I want it, I'm going to set that aside again to dry, and that strawberry is going to dry looking like it's tucked right inside that icing, so it's kind of neat. Now I'm going to be using the Make-A-Wish stamp set as well as the A Little Sentimental stamp set, and I'm going to work on my greeting area while the cupcake finishes drying there. So what I've done is I've just cut a panel of white cardstock, and I'm just taking the some different stamps from those two sets, and starting at the bottom I'm just working my way up and stamping the sentiments in a couple of different colors. So I've used Soft Cantaloupe, Silver, and the Soft Pool. All of them are the Hero Art Shadow Inks. And I've left a big enough area at the top for me to place the cupcake once it's dry and I have all of the card pieces put together. So when the card is finished, I'm going to be putting this white panel here onto this Shallows note card from Hero Arts, which is my favorite by far color for a note card back or card base. But before I do that, I decided I wanted a little bit more detail on the card base. So I'm using one more stamp set from Clearly Besotted, which is the Basic Stripes, which is just a really great stamp set for any kind of stripes or lines. They have 4 different styles and range from a single stripe to a bunch of skinnier stripes. So I've just picked the second to the last stripe pattern there and just kind of stamped it out on some scratch paper just because I couldn't remember if I had used it before, and I just wanted to kind of prime the stamp. And then once I have it ready to go, I'm just using that same soft pool ink, and I'm stamping it in a diagonal pattern directly onto the note card. And once I have the first stamp placed down on there, I'm just going to take that ink and repeatedly stamp the same in the same direction, just side by side and continuously across the card front until I have the whole entire card completely covered with that stripe. Just gives a nice subtle texture to the card and just kind of makes it a little less boring. So now you can see there I have all of the stripes stamped, so it makes a great background when you go ahead and stamp it multiple times. So I'm just going to adhere the white piece that I'm going to be using for the sentiment area and where my cupcake is going to eventually sit. And once I have it on there, I'm just going to trim off the excess on the top there. And then I decided that I liked the sentiment with the multicolors, but I still wanted a little bit something more to jazz it up a bit. So I'm going to take that clear Wink of Stella marker again, which I seem to be using on pretty much everything. And I'm just taking it onto the happy part of the happy birthday stamp at the bottom, just because that happy area has those really fun bubbly type letters. So I'm just kind of adding a little bit of glitter just to the insides of those letters, and it was a perfect amount. So I really liked how that turned out. So now it's actually been a couple of hours. I've let that dry really, really well, but I decided that the white was a little bit too white against the white background, and I wanted it to look a little bit more realistic and stand out a little bit more. So rather than leave the icing in the white color, I'm just going to take that same soft cantaloupe ink that I used to stamp the happy birthday sentiment, and I'm taking this little sponge dauber that can go on the end of your finger, and I'm just kind of using a scratch piece of paper to dab off onto so I don't have so much ink on the little sponge thing, and then I'm just going to tap it lightly all over the top of that icing to give that the matching orangey peach look that the sentiment has. So it turned out really well and worked perfectly. And then I kind of assembled the card, added some gems, and then to finish it off I used my corner chomper to round all the corners and added a couple strips of darker pool along the edges of the card to make the panel stand out. So thanks so much for watching, and happy birthday to Clearly Besotted Stamps.